Welcome to the Naked Truth About podcast. My name is Daniëlle Hellebrand. I'm a keynote speaker, coach, and columnist at Better Brains at Work. And I'm here with my co-host,
Beverley Wilson-Wünsch, and I'm a professor of hospitality at the International University of Bad Honnef in Germany.
And again, we have with us the wonderful Kai Raphael.
Thank you. Good to be here again.
Yeah.
It's lovely to see you. It's always good to see you,
It's
Kai.
so good to see you, Kai. Thank you so much for being
I
here.
feel very welcomed.
So, Beverley, what are we going to talk about today? What's the truth of today?
Well, why don't we talk about our aspirations? You know, Danielle, we are getting a little bit older. It's maybe a good opportunity to reflect on the things we have done in our lives and to begin to look at what's the future like. And then we have Kai here that I think can help us on the journey to think about what we're aspiring to do.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested in what you, as yourself called, seasoned women aspire.
And I can tell you, Kai, also seasoned women have a lot of aspirations. You know, I'm 54 at the moment. That's my biological age, but my internal age is stuck at about, 43, 44. And I still can think things like later when I'm grown up, I want to do this or that. So yes, I still have a lot of aspirations. I do have. Do you, Beverley?
I certainly do. But perhaps you can begin to tell us a little bit, Danielle, about what do you want to be when you grow up?
So, in the first episode, I spoke about being a student. I will stay a student forever. And the next thing I wanted to study is philosophy. I have an interest in philosophy. I don't want to do anything with exams and stress. So it just has to be, picking up all the knowledge and studying it for myself. Another aspiration is writing books. I love to write, but I don't take the time to find the rest and write the things down. I have so much snippets, but I have to, make a book out of it.
When? What's the deadline?
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I need deadlines. And I think saying it out loud now, at the end of this year.
At the end of this year. So
Yeah.
this currently, we're in March 2022 and
Yeah.
you will write a book. Or
That's-
at least have a first draft.
By the
in
end of this year, I will have a
December.
first draft.
Wonderful, great
Okay.
stuff. So
Really
you'd like to
cool.
write a book. What else? Anything else on?
Studying, traveling. I love to work, to travel to a city and be there for 3 or 4 weeks in a nice hotel or bed and breakfast, and enjoy the atmosphere of a city and write and work from there. And one truth. If money, I'm a mom. I have a 17-year-old son who has to study. So I have to earn a little bit of money. I have to fill the fridge and the light has to burn. But if money wasn't an issue, I think there is so much work to do. I would love to just return to society because I think I'm born on the sunny side of life. Not in a rich family, but in the Netherlands. I could study. I had wonderful parents, a good family. I had so much opportunities. And I think with everything I could do and accomplished and had the possibility to do, it's also time to return to society.
So
I understand. That's true.
Volunteering, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. To give back something to society, that you're saying.
Without having to earn
It's
money
the
and think about
Top
Yes.
of Maslow.
She is now at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, indeed, I think. Self-actualization, perhaps, is that what you're looking for?
Giving back. What about you, Beverley?
Oh, I have so many aspirations. In fact, when I was done with my own studies, I thought this would be the end of it. But the more I actually teach, is the more I realize that the only way you basically can continue to live is really to keep giving back and to keep giving back. So like you, I feel that what's really at the very top of my list at the moment is really to contribute to society, to help younger generations to become better at what they do. I also feel that one of the dream that I have always had is to do my own business. And this past week, I, knock wood, And I will have to tell you that one of the things I got done was to register my own business, which is looking at training in hospitality, young people for hospitality industry. I'm looking to introduce a number of programs within the hospitality business where I can actually get to help younger generations who want to become hospitality managers down the road, be trained and ready for the industry.
So then you're going to do things you don't have the time to do as a professor at university.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Wow.
And it's on the weekends or?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much. As a matter of fact, one of the things I'm doing with my university is to offer some scholarships to students who are, let's say, less fortunate. And so what we're doing is to offer them the opportunity to study online at a cheaper rate, you could say, or a little bit more affordable. And so what I have done is to create a situation in which they can do this online through my company also and alongside, the governments in the local areas, because we feel that is the only way to go. The more we can actually get students online to do these programs, is the better they can access education.
Kai, what about you?
And my aspirations?
At the young age of 24.
Yeah, well, I think it's mostly career-wise now, in the sense that last year I started my own company, and now I have put that on not pause but on a low key, and I started to invest more in my study. Got busier with that. I had last semester was very, very busy, and now I have half year of break where I work full time in the branch, in the technical business administration branch, and saving up for an international internship because I want to see more than just the Netherlands, and to when I applied for one of the jobs for one of the companies I did the project for last semester, they said, yeah, we're very enthusiastic, come on in. And that made me also think about my curriculum vitae and about what would I want to do when I finish this. And maybe a master's. In the last episode I said maybe a professor would be nice, or at least a C-level manager. And not because I like managing people so much, but because I want to... How stern this how stiff this may sound, but the corporate ladder I find very interesting, and I think I could make a real change there. Have you ever heard?
Yes, especially someone with a hospitality mindset as you have. It would be nice to tie that in with, obviously, the corporate world, because I think that oftentimes what most people at the top of that ladder do not have is that sense of humanity and being humane. And I think you could add a lot to that, Kai.
Have you ever heard of effective altruism?
Yes, to become altruistic.
Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, well, it's when you can always give to charity when you're a student, but then you don't have that much of resources. And I think if I would become really rich, let's just say it flat out, and then you can have some impact, because then you can change something. You need, in today's world, quite a lot of resources to make let's say not a big change, because I think if you inspire one person or help one person, that also makes a big change. But if you want to help a lot of people at the same time, you mostly need quite a bit of money, and that's what I would like to reach. So that's one of the main reasons why my ambitions are quite high. And of course, my friends are all quite ambitious themselves. So I'm with a good group of people who strive to go for the top. And I think that's something. Yeah, I really like the grind. Let's put it like that. I don't mind working my ass off from 7 o'clock to 10.
But there you mentioned something interesting, or I think very important. You surround yourself, you said, with people who all are also very ambitious and want a lot of things. My experience in life is that is very important. I had sometimes at some phases in life people who were like a break, just don't do that, too much effort. I think it's very important to have people around you who support you, who
Indeed.
lift you up.
That's right.
Who are by your side by doing the things you want to do. Don't you think, Beverley?
I think so. You need people everywhere. In every sphere of one's life, we do need people, isn't it? To help us one way or the other. Oftentimes, I was just talking about my own vacation recently. There is no way I could have afforded a vacation in a fairly expensive island if I didn't have friends. Friends, people who were willing to help and say, come on over. And I lived so comfortably without spending a cent, with,
That's really cool.
People to take care of me, to cook a meal and to take me here and there. I didn't need to go and look to go out for anything that I didn't necessarily want to do on my own. I was literally catered to be honest with you. It's great to have people. People are truly important in one's life.
It's an interesting thing you say, because you see, you read all on the internet that you need people who support you and people who always say, go do this and go do that. But there's also that smidge of competition between me and my friends, and we often roughhouse each other in the sense of you not that we discourage each other, but we like to put each other to the test. Let's say it like that. And I think that's
friendly competition, is that what it is?
Yes,
that works.
Is it a friendly competition, or is it a
community? Remember, we keep saying community over competition.
Is it a friendly competition, or is there something that they maybe don't want you to be that successful? How would you describe it?
Oh, interesting. No, I think it's a friendly competition. I think we would love to see each other succeed. But I think one of the things is that they are real. They say, if they think it's a bad idea, they will say that. And if you do it anyways, that's your thing. But
that is what I meant, Kai, by saying you have to surround you with people who trigger you a little bit, to go the extra mile.
Yes.
That is what I mean by surround yourself with good people who help and also I'm glad seeing you grow instead of being envious.
Right.
Yeah, that and it's I think a bit of both, because they're glad to see you grow, but they're also everybody in the group grows themselves. So it's also, I think, a bit, at least if I speak for myself, a bit of, damn, Josh is already investing. He's already has his first house. I can't stay behind. Come on, Kai. This is something.
So in a way, they're helping to pull you up.
Yes.
While they're going up also. I guess that's all right.
Has it to do with age? But I
Absolutely.
also have been in such situations. But the older I get, the more I long for this, what you just said, community over competition.
Community.
To be honest, I come from a world where it's all about zero-sum games, and I'm tired of zero-sum games.
Yeah.
Zero-sum games, meaning?
Meaning, in order for me to win, you've got to lose.
Oh, check.
Yeah.
There is not enough for all of us. When I want a big piece of the market, you've got to lose. I've got to take it away from you. That's a zero-sum game.
That's painful. That's painful.
I don't want to live. I'm really, the older I get, the more I want to live like, doing it together.
That's right.
That's also what you said last episode, that there's 6-7 years ago it was that way. That's how you got fueled, and that now it's more like happiness at work is become very, very important. And
that's one of my aspirations, to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, I think it's almost regular. It's almost. I think it's a baseline to be happy at work. It's not something that's extra or so. It's just that's what you need in order to properly do your work.
And that's true. And that's something that's your own responsibility in combination with the responsibility of the company. Because if you work in a toxic environment where you're not happy, where you are afraid, what's going on in your brain? You can't think properly, you get in a decline in IQ. So for a company to thrive, it's of the utmost importance that it takes care of their people and that people take care of themselves. And it's also your own responsibility.
I think, and that there's an environment in which you can grow and people don't feel threatened by your growth.
Exactly.
because I think that that's often also the case, that which in my experience with doing projects, improvement projects with different companies, that when you go through the different layers of management, technical service, operators, they all have different tasks to do. And when I come there as a student and I'm going to say, all right, we need a new system or a new process, they always think, oh, this is gonna kill my job. Oh no, and that's something that's an attitude I think we need less of. I think you always have to make very clear that you're there to support it, to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so
Putting
important.
your ego a little bit aside.
Exactly. That's the word I was actually looking for, to say ego, you should forget in the world. I hope that we can actually forget that in the world of work today. Indeed.
But you know what I also think? In the world we're in at the moment, there are a lot of leaders who don't dare to ask for help, or who don't dare to say that they don't know. That's why I like one-on-one leadership coaching, so people can really speak up and say what they're worried about. But I think to all the leaders out there, now is the perfect moment to put that aside and to speak up and to ask for help, because none of us ever had, in this time, being a manager, had the war this close.
Yeah.
None of us has had ever a pandemic where companies had to shut down for about 2 years, So there are so many new situations that you can't know how to deal with it. So just ask for help. Things are too complex to do it on your own.
That's right.
And I think it's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of you're in. It's a necessity to ask help. You can't survive a pandemic without, and that's interesting.
Exactly. You can't survive without asking for help. And then we have the pandemic of burnout. Then, and I call it also a pandemic, the pandemic of zero-sum games. It's an old way of thinking. We're not going to survive on this planet if we stay thinking and acting and doing that way. So I think now is really the perfect moment to say, I don't know.
Yeah,
and have to think about it together.
And in the case of burnouts, because that's quite a big, has quite a big impact in my surroundings. I see a lot of friends who have burnout like klachten.
Burnout symptoms.
Burnout like symptoms, or have had actually burnouts, and that's. I think people feel the way that's something that's external or internal, but it's quite often external.
Exactly.
Can you?
It is, yes.
But I've never quite fully understand why that's how externally that you get a burnout.
It's both. It's a burnout happens when you're overwhelmed and your system says, if you don't do anything about it, I'll shut down. I stop working. I don't let you sleep. You're tired. You're not feeling well, etc., etc. Go into your cave, sleep, and come out when the surroundings are safe. I think it's both. A burnout is an internal thing. It can happen through things in your private life, plus the pressure of your work life. But also, there are still a lot of companies where the atmosphere is not that well, where there are a lot of people afraid, where there is a lot of pressure. And the moment things get too much, and sometimes it's in the outside world, then the body starts to speak.
True.
If you don't listen, the body keeps the score.
And as you know, we are dealing with so many things. Information keep coming at you on a daily basis. It's just so very difficult to process information as quickly as is needed these days. It's easy for your bodies to shut down in those circumstances.
I get what you're saying. I'm thinking out loud. It's like you have two social lives, one online and one offline. And the online one is fairly new. I mean, the last 20 years it's actually closed. Yeah. So it's hard to keep track of all those different aspects.
That's right, indeed.
Yes, it is. It is. It is.
One of the things that I've always aspired to do, however, I have to tell you that about 3 years ago, I so desperately wanted to do a second PhD. And then my ex says to me...
PhD.
Second PhD.
Right.
My ex says to me, you're going to become an academic idiot. And I thought, yeah, that's probably true. And I sort of gave it up. But one of the things I actually wanted to do was to research the background of this, what I call pandemic, what we've been talking about, why people are so lonely, and why generally there is a lack of happiness among people these days. And so I wanted to consider the areas of psychology, any area of psychology that would sort of help me to understand people and people's behavior a little bit more. The other thing that I wanted to do was to become a minister of religion in a strange way. Pastoral care has always been at the very sort of close to my heart. Psychology, pastoral care, anything like that, where I would be placed in a position where if people needed help emotionally and spiritually, I'd be able to guide them and through. And in that process of thinking through what I wanted to do with my life after a profession, for example, that I've pursued over the last 20 to 25 years, and wanting to change that was basically to look at something that I could help people, the generation especially. Sometimes I don't know whether or not I can help the younger generations, but maybe I'm thinking that I aspire to do these things so I can help myself also too.
Yeah, it's so holding space for other people, doing that.
Yes.
Holding space.
That's right. Right.
That's interesting. It's kind of internal aspiration.
Yeah.
Because you have, of course, you have the aspiration to own a penthouse, or maybe the aspiration to have a child. But I think the internal aspiration is quite interesting. I have always had the aspiration, and still have the aspiration to become a gentleman. I really like the concept of a gentleman.
What does that mean? What?
A gentleman, like
how to treat people well, for example.
Yeah, kind of like in Hollywood movies, a gentleman comes over as a really competent suave man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what a gentleman is, but I didn't know what you meant by becoming a gentleman. Okay.
And I think I have the hospitality of a gentleman, but a far from the suave, and I get it. It's a perfect how do you call it, picture, but it's still something I aspire to be.
Oh, I like the decorum part of that. They're well dressed, well behaved, very.
I always enjoy those little things, especially, for example, like, you're invited in the car by someone, and a man would come out and open the door for you. Those little things, they still.
But also the James Bond kind of gentleman who is, and I don't have to be capable of murder, but you get the competence he has in his both his agility, his muscle, and his way of moving about, and his skill set is so widely exaggerated.
Well, shall we aspire to become a gentlewoman also? Is there a possibility?
It's all. I do think happiness is in the small stuff. I think aspiring happiness as a big thing, as a goal, I think it's impossible, and we cannot keep this permanent state of happiness. So it comes and goes, ebb and flood. But what I do, it's an I'm on my way. I'm not there yet. The older I get, the more I'm coming home to myself, or I'm trying to come home to myself, and not letting myself lead through. Yeah, I still do, but not that much as it was. What society expects of me, what my surroundings expect of me, what I think that should have.
I think on the topic of happiness, I think that's not something to aspire. I think just like I said in last time I was here, that the turnover is a result of your culture. I think happiness is a result of the things you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
not
a constant process, right?
Yes, and I mean nobody goes home in the mirror and looks, I'm happy. It's just a feeling you have, and it's a side effect of the things you do.
Yeah.
So I happiness comes and goes, I think, just like all emotions. And I think if you do things that make you happy, then that keep doing those things, and happiness will come by itself.
It's kind of when I hear you talk, it's kind of you want to leave the place where you are a little bit better.
Yeah.
than the
yeah.
place you got in. So
Yes,
leaving
yes.
something behind.
Yes, yes. You see, I'm afraid of death. To
You
be
are?
honest. Yes,
Yes.
very much so. And then I thought, how can I continue to live forever?
Yeah.
And the only way that I think I can continue to live forever is to pass on my knowledge to people on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what took away the fear, or is taking away the fear, that
Yeah.
even when this body dies or is no more, then I certainly, there is going to be a Beverley Wilson-Wünsch still somewhere around,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Uh,
That's my
interesting.
thought.
But how big, if I may ask, is that aspiration? Is there a Beverley Wilson-Wünsch academic, or is there a Beverley Wilson-Wünsch street, or is there a Beverley Wilson-Wünsch? How big is this aspiration for you, your soul to be still around?
I think it's a combination, Beverley Wilson-Wünsch Street. I think I have a lot to learn, as we were talking about earlier, Kai, that, I'm not as streetwise as I should be. I think in a way I grew up a little bit of a sheltered person, I have to say. And so my streetness, for want of a better word, I'm only learning now, to be honest with you. But certainly Beverley Wilson academic, I hope that I have passed on as much as I know to the people who have had the opportunity to be in some of my classes, for example. But I'm still learning, and as I learn, I teach. At the same time, I feel that as I teach, I learn. So obviously that is a constant growth, and I am a believer and a strong believer in lifelong learning, of course. But Beverley Wilson-Wünsch Street, I have a long way to go, I think. But my daughter is helping, I have to tell you. She's quite a smart one, I have to say. And she pulls me up by the bootstrap all the time. So I have my teacher, to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm not afraid of death. I even don't hope that there is another life.
Yeah, you're
think-
done after this one?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, really. I do my utmost best to keep it with that. Because I think there are so many beautiful things, but also so many heavy things. But I don't think that dying is kind of a change of address from the earth to the heavens. But what I do think that is that our energy stays here, and my wish is to leave a kind of a legacy that when people
That's
remember
right.
me, they
That's
have
right.
a warm feeling.
That's right.
A warm feeling,
That's right.
And the interesting thing, my dad is 85, and we were cleaning up a few things in his house, and we find some old photo albums, and I found pictures of my grandparents and my great-grandparents. Those were these very small black and white pictures, and I had, to watch with a loop and to look into their faces and to check, do I recognize something of myself in those faces? And then I thought, my son, and maybe his grandchildren, they really can see how grandma is talking and moving because there is so much on the internet
Wow.
from me.
Wow, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are also the first generation
Yeah.
who leave another legacy through the internet.
Super.
I would love to see my grandparents move and talk.
Yes.
Do I
Wow.
recognize something?
That's strong right there.
So we all, you with your lessons or the things you write, your publications, Kai with the things.
The podcasts. They can always hear me talk.
Maybe it's not children, but nephews, nieces, I don't know, children from France, whoever. When they think about Uncle Kai, they can listen to his podcast and following your thoughts. I think we all in this generation can leave in another way, can leave things behind.
You're so right about that. That's really profound,
But
I have to say.
we just said that, let me put it this way. How do we see that separate from the ego we need to let go? But it kind of sounds, on one hand, very profound, and it's for the better, but Beverley Wilson-Wünsch Street sounds also kind of not egoistic, but still like there is some ego in there, I think.
Probably it's my daughter tells me that all the time. I probably am really very, but I think the more I learn is the more I can teach. So if Beverley Wilson-Wünsch becomes a street, it is with the hope that I can also help a generation that needs to also to become streetwise, or perhaps to learn. And so in whatever I do and whatever I want to become, it's because I oftentimes see the need to be able to pass on something to others, to be honest.
Okay. It's from a place of altruism, not from a place of...
Indeed. Of ego at all. So absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't know if you know this beautiful quote from the American writer Maya Angelou. People forget what you said. People forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That's as a legacy, but also coming back to our hospitality mindset. That the feeling we give people, although they don't remember. When I think back at, for example, a holiday, I think, oh, that was a wonderful holiday. I don't remember exactly what I ate or how the room was, but I know, it was food for my soul when I was there.
Maybe that's why I'm so eager to climb the corporate ladder, because that so I can do great things in quotation marks from a company, not from myself, but from out of the company. So I want to leave a mark, but not per se with my name stamped on it. Maybe that's the drive behind it all.
So these sounds like wonderful aspirations, the things we all have, and the aspiration of the legacy we want to leave behind. That was a wonderful conversation, Beverley. Thank you so much.
Thank you also, Daniëlle. Thank you,
you.
Kai.
Yes,
for
and
being
thank
here
you.
again.
Yes, of course, no problem. And thank you for sharing.
Okay.
It's really enlightened.
So thank you all for listening. Have a good week and be kind. The world needs a hospitality mindset.
And that's the naked truth.